Hello, it is the 2nd of April. Welcome. I feel like I'm still having a weird fringe day. I'm just giggling about it and getting this information out there. So, welcome to today's chat about a wonderful new rhythm that we have just entered, which is called Neptune in Aries. I have a lot to say about this. I'm going to do it over and over and over again. We are having this rhythm and cycle is going to last for 14 years. To just speak about it once and that's it is definitely not enough. I know I've said this in a few videos now, but just quickly to if you don't mind, just bring it back to me for a second to allow you also to understand why I'm going to be bringing all these big energy shifts. And energy shifts that may have happened 7 years ago already, but that are still with us. I'm going to bring them all together. And the amazing thing for me is how I have suddenly slotted into this. I think this is my 20th video on this channel. This channel is over a year old. I mean, it was just quite static at one point. And I worked through, by honoring my own life map, through all my insecurities, through all those old things that I was trying to hold on to, not even knowing I was, really thinking I was making way for the new, but working through all those beautiful things, allowing all those things to happen to get to this point where I am, where I'm able to now do a little clip, like now on Neptune with Aries, but soon I'm going to start bringing it all together, because the more and more I've been doing this, the more and more I've learned, and this is why I don't just do once off with people anymore, because once is not enough. It's a continuous thing. It's a reminder all the time. It's re-educating. It's forming a new habit. It's really becoming aware of how this works, how these rhythms work, how to honor these beautiful cycles that are so transformative. There's such rich potential for you to consistently move to optimum and optimum and optimum parts of yourself. So there have really been, I said a lot, and as I say, from now I'm going to start bringing a lot of those transits together. I'm going to start running a lot of workshops that are going to be interactive, where you're going to be able to ask questions and you're going to be able to start really to make your own rhythm known to you and felt, and connecting just back into that connection that you have with God in relation to what is happening around you in your life. I know that many of us carry shame. Some of us have forgotten even why. We feel that our very existence is a shameful thing and that we shouldn't even be here. It is so sad. It's so sad. You know, I have sat here in front of this static camera talking like this, thinking sometimes, is it really valuable what I'm saying? And then I hear somebody and I can feel and hear how desperately lonely, how desperately lost, how desperately sad they are. And oh, fuck yes, it's so worth it. It's so worth it to know that since 2016 in particular, we've really had a pounding, that it's not your fault, that life just is happening. But now what we can learn to do is to take that responsibility for moving ourselves forward in that. No matter how it looks, it doesn't matter how it looks. Our world doesn't work like that anymore. If my picture doesn't look like your picture, yay, hallelujah, wonderful. Whereas before, that was a big deal, right? Okay, and that's part of this transit before I get too lost in this conversation. All right. Here we go. Neptune has moved into Aries. Right. What that means is we now have a 14-year cycle of this energy happening for us. We call this a generational energy, a generational impact. From now until 2039, every single baby born will have Neptune in Aries. The house placement depends on the time and place that they're born, right? So it's not like a Mars placement and a moon placement, which is changing quite fast. And so, you know, we might all be in school in the same year and have the same age, but there'll still be little things about us that are quite different, even though we have these generational events and flavors. Okay. This is also why we learn from generations before us, and we get taught by generations that come after us, because we have ever-changing flavors in humanity, how we go about learning, how it is that we should now express, and that's a miraculous and wonderful thing. Okay. The last time we had this transit, remembering astrology is circular. If you've ever seen your life map, you'll see that it's around like a pie chart. So very much in when things change, when transits shift, we look back in history and we say, okay, the last time this happened was 165 years ago. So what was happening in the world? All right, and I want to just mention, I'm going to try and touch briefly on this because yes, it is important, and yes, it's kind of scary. But I don't want to get stuck in that scary. I want to move on as quickly as possible to our individual selves, finding our natural rhythm within this rhythm that Neptune has taken on now. Okay. But the last time this placement took place, we had the American Civil War. Right. That was really a good thing, which because people started really standing up for what they believe in. They even stood up against their government. They said, hey, we don't actually agree with this, and so therefore we're going to fight for this because our values are not aligned with this. So there was an not idealistic, there was an us-orientated fight here. And that's what's going to come into play now as well. We have a few other placements that are causing general aggression in this world, and I don't even have to say anymore. I don't even have to tell you, just turn the news on because you feel it, it's exhausting. So if you're in South Africa, which is where I live, our political situation at the moment is frightening. It's really very tense. Nobody really knows what could possibly come from what's happening now. But the wonderful thing is it's happening because it needs to, because we can no longer carry on with the paradigm being what it has been. Our people are suffering. This shift where we are very much starting to get, in South Africa we say seriously, gatvol, for people suffering is a long time coming. Look at international politics, it's a mess. It's a mess everywhere. Okay. That's the scary part. The scary part because if we allow ourselves to get sucked into this and to also become one of those, what are they called, keyboard warriors, where, have you seen how people fly into each other on social media just because you are saying something that perhaps scares me, or I don't know, I don't fully understand. People are making such terrible assumptions, and what happens then is we end up having wars. Because we are flying off the handle, we're not able to control our emotions and practice and show some emotional intelligence and go, hold on, actually this is not what we want. We don't really want to fight with each other. We are fighting against fighting with each other. So why are we fighting with each other? But this is how revolution works. It's really fucking messy and scary in the beginning. And sometimes it lasts for a while. So this is why I'm not going to harp on this too much, because the responsibilities now come from different angles. They impact that, and we're going to get to that in one of the workshops that I'm going to be running. But for now, I want you to understand that the world is feeling scared and aggressive. And with Neptune moving into any kind of Aries placement, doesn't matter where it is, there is that possibility for aggression, for irritation, for flying off the handle, for saying something before you've actually thought it through. Okay. But also to have the maturity to listen sometimes, because sometimes Aries energy is the only one in the room who's going to say the thing that needs to be said. Very important, and there's a fine line. Okay. Aries and Neptune don't necessarily sit around the same fire, but not so badly that it's a problem. And this is what excites me about this transit, and I'm going to tell you now, there's a beautiful injection. But now let's finish with 165 years ago and the war and all that aggressive stuff. So your exercise is to look back to 2011. Look back, what shifted? And I'm going to give you a few themes, and you're going to go over this and see. Okay. Perhaps in the last 11 years, you had a real spiritual awakening, Or you have always been spiritual and your partner had a beautiful spiritual awakening and together you grew in that space where you haven't really before. Perhaps you had a feeling of a dark night of the soul, which many of us would have gone through because we have gone through chaos. Okay, so that by default would have happened, and then having that Neptune in Pisces rhythm and channel, it would have become quite a theme. Okay, just want to refer to my notes so that I don't forget anything. Okay, what hopes and dreams of yours were A, becoming true, or B, really formulating, where it was suddenly becoming clearer than ever before? Or suddenly you realize that this thing you had dreamt of for so many years, just suddenly you wake up one morning and it's completely gone, and now you have this new dream. It's a different dream. So it's a growth in that spiritual area of yours. It's a like creative endeavors. What were they? What were you doing? Now remember, lockdown would have happened, in this period between 2011 and 2025 as well. So even if you weren't doing something creative before then, lockdown forced all of us to be creative, become creative. In all aspects. It might even have been cooking. Remember when we had to stand in queues to get into shops? You may have been in a shop where something you really wanted they didn't have and you had to improvise. That's a creative thing, right? Think about that, because that became part of our lives. Okay. If you look over that time, realizing also we've had a lot more acceptance to, for example, the work I do. 20 years ago, this was scary to come out here and do these kind of videos because we still had a lot of resistance and we still had people, I remember the word woo-woo. I hated it always. And look, it hardly ever gets used anymore, right? People have really come around to not even understanding, but knowing that yes, you don't always see a spiritual word, but it's as much there as everything you can see in front of you. It's understanding that if you can look at it like a vehicle, when that little light comes on and says you need to go for your 10,000 kilo service, that's what you do, because if you don't, your car's not going to make it for very long. And what happens if you don't have the funds or you decide you're not going to do it? Eventually down the line, we run into a few car troubles and we think, oh, why didn't I do it? So we have really opened up to allowing spiritual input from places that are not necessarily our traditional places. Look at all the beautiful, I see on Facebook now, there's a lot of invitations to moon circles, to rituals, to red tents, to weekend-long festivals that are focused on spiritual growth, not necessarily just music and food and togetherness. Yes, that's a big part of it, but there's deeper work happening within these get-togethers. It's really, really beautiful. And Neptune in Pisces was a big channel for that to happen. You may also find a lot of magic remembered. You may have reconnected with something about yourself that you forgot. You may have started having really vivid dreams again. However it played out for you, look at that sort of flavor of your life, okay? And you'll see even people around you would have had those types of awakenings as well. And they could have been quite painful for certain people. Healing is not pretty. It really isn't. Now, the other thing with Neptune and Pisces, and then of course having them together, is that it can bring delusion and illusions. It's that feeling of, if it seems too good to be true, it is too good to be true. But often in this kind of energy, we might fall for it. Not often. In this kind of energy, we may fall for it. It just, it feels like, yes, I really want that comfort. Yes, I really want that thing to happen. Then unfortunately the person on the other side is a charlatan or a scam artist or a thief. Okay. You may have found it even in relationships that you started. The person you thought you were getting to know was actually not that person at all. And you might have found that you were even that person. It doesn't mean necessarily that we're trying to hurt each other. Sometimes we just really don't know that actually what we are presenting of ourselves and who we actually are not necessarily aligned. So there's no judgment with any of the things I say here, okay? All right. Now, the beautiful thing, what I love about this is we're meeting intuition with instinct. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the word. Pisces, Neptune in Pisces helped us to develop our intuition, that feeling we have. Don't go in that house. Don't follow that person. Don't go with that person. You got those things. Aries puts it into instincts. It brings it out a little bit more into action. And this is exciting for me because if you are somebody who is working in a spiritual type of a career, and this could extend even to being something like a drama teacher. That is actually a beautiful spiritual world, that creative, expressive, person-orientated soul work, right? If you have been insecure or shy or unsure or not feeling comfortable in front of a camera or on social media, not sure if what you're saying is really needed, but that's your life work, then this Neptune in Aries transit, these next 14 years are going to be nice. There's nice fire here for you. You'll feel just naturally more confident. I can feel it in myself. I can feel it in my own work and how I'm developing. And I can feel within that how my ego is healing, because before my ego was so small and so unsure, so many things had happened, that I didn't really think that I even had a right to be doing what I'm doing for a living. I mean, how ridiculous is that? It's my life's work. I can feel already with a few other things that have happened in the last year or so, but this now as well, even just since Sunday, and it's only Wednesday, I can really feel that there's a fire now behind that, because it's about the information. I've really been able to marry. It doesn't matter what your fringe looks like. It doesn't matter that you don't have the right equipment yet. It doesn't matter that you're working off X, Y, and Z. What matters is this information. It matters that somebody else is hearing this and going, oh, that's just what I needed to hear. Or, thank goodness now I've got the permission. Whether it happens subconsciously or very consciously, if there's a proactive yes from here for something that you've been unsure of, but actually know it's what you must do, then this is the channel for you, and this is the rhythm to get into. That primordial, just that rhythm of you coming through, because that rhythm carries your intuition, and it carries your instinct, and it carries the essence of who you are. You're no longer thinking about it, you simply are being. And we are all creative beings. And that's what we need from each other right now. Not the judgment, not the irritation, not the exhaustion, not the fear, not the anger, but the dance and the song and the sitting around the fire and the sharing food and the love and the newness and the togetherness. And it's not idealistic. It is not idealistic. It is what we can do. It is what we do. Right? Think of when you're with your friends and your family and the people you love. That's what you do. You're in that rhythm. Positively and proactively following goals is a wonderful thing to be aware of now. It will also bring a new approach to how you integrate. So in other words, here comes again that intuition with instinct. I feel that I should do this. Okay, cool. My instinct says let's do it this way. Now we're understanding what's happening here. And if you have a coach, for example, a business coach, then you run that by that business coach. And if that business coach is worth their salt, they are going to try, or they are going to meet you halfway with their rhythm, meeting your rhythm, and creating then what is going to come through. And you may find, and I sincerely hope that you do, that you receive this channel like this, that you will find these people just knocking on your door. And what I mean by that is you will think to yourself, you know what, I really need some assistance in this area. And then in a few days' time, you will meet somebody who is exactly that person through a friend of yours. It's that synchronistic, but proactive synchronistic. It's not just the dreamy, the spiritual side. It's putting it into something. Whether you monetize it, whether you start a new hobby for yourself, whether you simply further your spiritual education, whether you are transitioning from, sorry, that's a terrible word, scrap that word, whether you are moving into a space where you are exploring different values that have come up for you, maybe you feel very differently about something now, give yourself that time. There is the magic. This is how that's a very late truck driving around outside. I'm not sure if you can hear that. But this time is time for our family units to become what we want them to be, for our love relationships to become what we want them to be. Because when they are what we want, then they also are what our partner wants. It's an alignment, it's a togetherness. It's no longer like our grandpas and uncles and aunts used to joke, but you know what, it wasn't joking actually, but that thing of, oh, you know, woman, they're like this, oh no, you know, she's like X, Y, Z. It was this sort of like, what's that saying, I love you but I don't like you. We don't have time for that anymore. We don't have time. Okay, there's such a deeper world to being a human being. We want to come above that exact things I mentioned, those judgments, those fear, those war type scenarios, the heaviness, the conversations we're having which are fear driven. We want to just take a few steps back from that. Yes, they're always going to be there. They're not instantly going to go away. Please understand, tomorrow's not going to be all sunshine and roses. You're going to fall into a hole in the middle of the day, possibly. But you're going to see, hey, there's a big rose bush that I planted, so I know that's my way out. That's the importance. It's like that wonderful, who would it have been for you? Your mother, your father, a good friend, an aunt, somebody you worked with, a lovely older woman with a big bosom who just gave you the best hugs. That person, think about the person where you felt so loved and accepted and liked and whatever it is for you, adored or supported. Perhaps there's somebody that really taught you lots, and that's a love language for you. When if somebody spends that kind of intimate time with you, you feel valued. Be that person for yourself, because then you become that person in the world, and that is already you doing service to the world. Do you see how doing service to the world is the easiest thing, because it's just an extension of you? But if that you is murky and tired and scared and fearful, please don't extend that to the world, because we're really all there. And that's not what we need anymore. I will be announcing dates for workshops that I'm going to run. I hope to see you there. This is very, very exciting. Really, amongst all the turmoil and chaos out there, there's so much joy. There's so much to grab. There's so many rhythms and channels available, and they are yours to slot into naturally in your own space. Adios, chat soon.